I wasn't uninvited. I was erased. Names don't make a sound when they're deleted. Just one pixel blink in an admin panel, and suddenly you're not expected at this time. I found out because I handle most of our client travel, and one of my guys emailed me asking if the hotel shuttle to the company gala still ran every 30 minutes. I clicked the RSVP portal to check the times, typed my name, and the page gave me that polite corporate shrug. No registration found. I refreshed, tried my work email, my personal, even the alias the events team uses for me on vendor lists. Nothing. Then I checked the internal Slack channel for Gala logistics. I couldn't see it anymore. I'll say this up front because it matters. In my world, that gala isn't just champagne and selfies. It's Q4 triage dressed in tuxedos. Renewals get whispered into being there. Clients meet other clients, and if you're lucky, decide they like you more in a bow tie than they dislike your year-to-date slip-ups. I'm a mid-level account manager who lives and dies by those soft minutes between speeches. Being erased is a message to your book. Your guy doesn't have pull. I walked to my boss's glass-walled office with a printout of the error screen like it was a lab report. He didn't look up. Events capped. Nothing personal, he said, still typing. Client-facing priority. That's me, I said. I run Ascendant Foods, Kingfisher Robotics, half of Marrowbank's integration mess. They're all flying in. He blinked at his monitors, not at me. Your presence is not strictly required. That's how I learned a sentence can be both grammatically correct and a guillotine. Here's the part I haven't admitted out loud. It had been building. A rival manager, let's call him Travis, had started taking victory laps around projects I steered out of a ditch. He's Teflon and cufflinks, a photogenic handshake. He'd copied on my email threads for visibility, then rewrote the subject line and sent it to leadership as his update. He's the type who can make a client's idea sound like his and your efforts sound like the weather. I'd let it go because I was busy doing the unglamorous stuff. Scope policing, vendor cat herding, the 9 p.m. deck fixes no one claps for. Also relevant, there's a 3-year RFP in play, codename Halcyon, a platform consolidation that would anchor our revenue through 2028. Officially, the sponsor is Meridian Logistics, but it affects 5 other accounts by osmosis. Whoever becomes the face of making Halcyon happen gets to write their own job description for the next decade. That night, I went home to an apartment that still smells faintly like the previous tenant's basil plants, and stared at the RSVP error on my laptop until it felt like a dare. I could complain, beg, write a thread that would get me labeled difficult, or I could do the one thing the gala pretends to do but can't. Make space where real conversations happen. 2 blocks from the hotel, there's a basement lounge behind a locksmith, one of those places with a legal address and an illegal number of Edison bulbs. The owner, Maya, used to bartend at a dive near my first apartment when I was too broke to tip and too proud to stay home. I called her. How much to rent Thursday night? 9 to midnight? I asked. For who? For the clients who won't be able to hear themselves think at the gala, I said. I want to try something. Small. Useful. She laughed. Useful at a party? Think less party, more triage with nice glassware. We worked a number that made me swallow, but not choke. I offered my own card and told her to keep the company name off the invoice. I wasn't hiding. I was simplifying. Next, I made a guest list that wasn't alphabetical. It was surgical. One person from each client who could say yes without asking permission. The operations lead, who actually signs off on change orders. The procurement analyst who controls the time frames. The lead engineer who hates events but loves whiteboards. I titled the calendar Invite. Client appreciation after hours. Decompression plus actual answers. And set it to private. The description had 2 bullet points. 1. Quiet tables for live edits to any document you brought. 2. A tech bar to fix decks. Do numbers. Pull logs. No speakers. No swag. No photo booth. Rideshare codes attached. Dress code. Whatever you wore to the gala. I built a bare-bones RSVP page on a free template that looked like it had been designed by an introvert. Big buttons, no flourish, a single field for dietary notes that actually mattered, because Maya can do magic with 3 burners and a convection oven. The first response came in 9 minutes. If this is real, save me a seat. S. It was Sarah from Ascendant, the one who negotiates like a velvet noose. Then another, bringing our IT lead. He hates parties. This sounds like not a party. John Marrow. I added 2 more chairs. At lunch the next day, I went to a print shop, run by a guy named Ulysses, who once rushed a set of conference brochures for me when my train got snowed in. I need table tents, name cards, and a menu that doesn't say menu, I told him. Just 3 lines. We're here to listen. We're here to fix. Tell us what's broken. Make it look like a receipt, he grinned. Petty or principled? Yes, I said, and we both laughed. I kept my mouth shut at work. On Slack, the Cash Gala channel, filled with photos of crystal centerpieces and seating charts color-coded like a war room, I answered normal emails in normal tones and pretended not to notice when Travis posted the sponsor list with his initials next to a cluster of tables. He also posted a VIP after at the hotel lounge with a velvet rope emoji. I tried not to enjoy the predictability. The invites went out 36 hours before the gala. I did not send them to everyone. I did not mass mail. I sent maybe 20. 12 said yes. 4 were maybe if we escape. 2 texted me. Is this sanctioned? I texted back. It's quiet. My boss called me into his office the morning of. He had the email printed like a chart sheet. This is off-brand. It's off-site, I said. Clients asked for a place to talk. We have a place. The Gala. They'll hear speeches. They need answers. He leaned back. If any of our sponsors end up at your thing, you and I will have a conversation. We're having one now, I said. That line tasted braver than I felt. Around 4, I carried 2 banker's boxes to the lounge. Portable printer, fresh toner, Sharpies, extension cords, a label maker I still had from an apartment I no longer lived in. Maya had moved the tables into small islands with enough elbow room to think. The room smelled like citrus peels and new varnish. On the back bar, she'd set a chalkboard, 2-block truce. Under it, a short list of cocktails named after client projects, because she knows, I think, in roadmaps. Waypoint, Rollback, Greenfield. There was a no photos sign under the sconce. I exhaled. My phone buzzed with the other world. See you tonight? From someone who assumed I'd be standing under chandeliers. A mass text about the shuttle. A DM from Travis with a winky face, and don't overplay your hand. I put the phone face down and fed the name tag printer. It jammed. I unjammed it with the practiced violence of a man who has unjammed that exact model in a Marriott lobby at 11:58 p.m. The first tent card slid off Ulysses' stack like crisp money. At 6, the gala doors opened 2 blocks away. I pictured the step and repeat, the burst of flash, the gentle anxiety of men adjusting cummerbunds. I adjusted the height on a squeaky bar stool and tested the Wi-Fi again. Maya squeezed my shoulder without a speech. The first tray of appetizers, tiny tuna tartare on potato chip spoons, hit the pass. The whiteboard markers lined up like ammunition. The door to the street was unmarked from the outside. Inside, it smelled like limes and paper and a clean slate. The rain started an hour before the gala. The kind of light, polite drizzle that doesn't ruin a tux, but ruins your mood. 2 blocks away, our tiny lounge glowed amber through the street's reflection, and for a second it looked like the only warm place in the city. Inside, Maya had lined the bar with copper bowls of lemon twists, and napkins printed with a single phrase in lowercase, not a gala. By 7:05, I still had no guests, just my own reflection in the bar mirror and a playlist looping through the same Miles Davis track that had already stopped feeling classy. I checked my phone again. 12, confirmed. 3, maybe. and a calendar reminder I'd forgotten to disable. Company Gala, 7 p.m. Black tie optional. I laughed once quietly, then muted it. The first knock came at 7:11. Sarah from Ascendant Food slipped in, her hair damp, a silver clutch in hand. The faint exhaustion of forced networking still in her shoulders. "Please tell me I'm not early," she said. "You're right on time for the part where I pretend this was intentional." She smirked, scanning the space. "This feels human." That's the pitch. We sat at one of the small tables Maya had set with simple white cloths and blank notepads instead of flowers. Sarah looked at the name Tense, minimal, no logos, no company fonts, and smiled. "You know, they had a literal ice sculpture of the logo at the gala," she said. "The CEO was taking selfies with it." "That tracks," I said. A minute later, the door opened again. John from Merrow Bank and his IT lead, both tieless, walked in. John waved a phone like a talisman. "Your map was wrong," he said. "We almost went to the actual locksmith." "That's fine," I said. "You found the right key anyway." Maya caught that and winked. Drinks appeared without being ordered, and just like that, it worked. Not big, not flashy. Just right. The air was soft with quiet conversation, the kind that actually gets things done. I had one whiteboard propped near the back wall, where I started sketching an integration issue Sarah had mentioned months ago. While I drew, John's engineer leaned over to correct my diagram. For 10 minutes, it was just people solving problems without someone yelling, "Networking opportunity," every 3 seconds. Outside, I could hear the throb of the hotel's baseline from 2 blocks away. Inside, we had a rhythm of our own, pens scratching, glasses clinking, low laughter that didn't need to compete. By Idaho, half the tables were full. A junior procurement manager from Halcyon's team wandered in, apologetic. "The ballroom's too loud," she said. "Someone said there was a quieter space near here." "There is now," I said. She stayed. Maya moved like smoke, refilling drinks, dimming lights a touch lower, adding a bowl of almonds to every table without being asked. She was running this like a command center. The rain outside had turned heavier, muffling the world. People leaned in to talk instead of shouting. I took photos of the whiteboard, not for social media, for memory. Then my phone buzzed. Unknown number. Shut it down. Now. No signature, but I didn't need one. I knew the tone. A minute later came the email. Subject line, urgent, unofficial event. The body. Cease immediately. Brand dilution and compliance risk. Clients have reported confusion about representation. BCC'd. HR, legal, my boss. I stared at the screen, felt the blood rise like feedback in my ears, and then laughed, quietly, because it meant they noticed. Sarah leaned over. "Everything okay?" "Corporate thunder," I said. "Ignore it." At 8:30, Travis himself appeared. He was still in his tux, bow tie undone for that approachable look. He didn't come in right away, just stood at the threshold, scanning like a nightclub bouncer. When our eyes met, he did that half-smile people practice in mirrors. "Cute little rebellion," he said, stepping inside. "You're poaching attendees from a company-sponsored event." "I invited friends to talk shop off the clock," I said. "No branding, no agenda, no photographers. Unless the company trademarked conversation." He took a slow look around. The tables, the laptops open with live dashboards, the clients. "This is dangerous," he said quietly, and I realized it wasn't a threat. It was an observation, because he could see what I saw. They were engaged. No staged photos, no talking points, just real work happening while the gala across the street burned money for optics. He tried again. "We have sponsors expecting you at the main event." Sarah cut in before I could answer. "We're fine here. We were expecting results, not sponsors." The room went still for half a second. Then laughter bubbled up from another table, the kind that doesn't ask for permission. Travis's jaw tightened. "This will get messy," he said. "Messy's how things grow," I said. He left without another word. The door clicked softly behind him. After that, something shifted. Word must have spread faster than the rain outside, because at 2 more groups showed up. A project lead from a logistics partner and, unbelievably, the Halcyon sponsor herself, Elena Kim, VP of Strategy, the woman everyone tried to orbit but no one could hold. She walked in without ceremony, coat over one arm, hair damp from the weather, eyes scanning the room like a hawk. "So this is the off-brand event?" she asked. I stood. "We prefer off-mic." That earned a small smile. "Do you have Wi-Fi?" "Of course. Password's Noise. Spelled Noice." She laughed, the icebreaker kind that travels a table. "Good, because we can't hear ourselves thinking there. Let's work." And we did. She took the corner table, opened her laptop, and within minutes, half her team joined her, unrolling spreadsheets, marking blockers. I fetched a whiteboard, Sarah fetched her notes. John shared his architecture doc. It was like watching the universe recenter itself around utility. No small talk, no pretense, just clarity. At 9:42, the hotel's fireworks went off, a glittering celebration we could see reflected in the lounge windows. Inside, we were sketching an outline for Halcyon's next phase. Maya muted the music completely. The only sounds were pens, typing, and the occasional, "That's actually smart." I remember looking around the room and realizing something I hadn't before. No one was checking their phones. No one wanted to leave. At 10:15, Elena closed her laptop, leaned back, and said, "This was the most productive hour of this entire conference week." Then she looked straight at me. "You should have been on the guest list." "Guess I made my own," I said. She nodded. "Good instinct." When she left, she took 3 of the biggest clients with her, all of them shaking my hand, like they'd just discovered something rare. By 10:30, the room was thinning. People hugged, exchanged numbers, left with takeaway notes instead of party favors. Sarah scribbled something on her napkin and slid it toward me. "They'll call this insubordination. I call it initiative." I folded it into my wallet. At 11, Maya turned off the last light over the bar. "So," she said, wiping her hands, "what happens now?" I looked at the whiteboards, the empty glasses, the silence that had weight. "Now," I said, "now we see who they actually listened to tonight." Outside, the hotel valet line stretched down the block, men in damp tuxedos waiting for cars, laughing too loudly. I walked past them unnoticed, the rain washing the smell of cologne off the air. My shoes squeaked. My phone buzzed again. 3 messages, all from clients. The preview line read the same in each. "Need to talk first thing in the morning." I smiled, not because I knew what would happen, but because, for the first time in a long while, I didn't need an invitation to find out. By morning, my phone was a crime scene of notifications. 12 unread emails, 4 missed calls, 2 calendar invites marked mandatory compliance review, 1 text from Maya, "Bar tab settled, worth it," and then the last one, short, almost polite. "CEO wants to see you. 10:30. Don't be late." No subject line, no emoji. That's when you know it's serious. I put on my best nothing happened shirt, the one with no wrinkles and no opinions, and walked into the office like a man entering a silent courtroom. People looked up from their screens, then looked away. That was new. Usually they didn't look at all. Travis's office door was closed. Inside, I could hear him doing his measured disappointment voice, low, calm, rehearsed. I caught words like rogue, off-brand, clients confused, and disciplinary action. At 10:28, the CEO's assistant gestured me in. He was standing by the window, hands behind his back, staring down at the city like he owned its mortgage. "So," he said without turning around, "you threw your own gala." "Not a gala," I said. "A conversation." He turned. "With our clients. With our neglected clients," I corrected. He blinked once, then walked to the table where someone, probably Travis, had printed a folder labeled Incident Report. He flipped it open. Inside, screenshots of my invite, a photo of the bar, and an email chain with the words, Unauthorized event, in bold, red. Then he reached for another folder. This one had printouts of emails from 3 of our biggest accounts. He slid them across the table like cards in a game he was about to lose. "Read them," he said. Email number 1, Ascendant Foods. "We spent 15 minutes at your gala and 3 hours at Daniel's after hours. We left with an action plan and a working prototype. If that's off-brand, maybe reconsider the brand." Email number 2, Marrowbank. "Your official event felt like theater. The unofficial one felt like partnership. That should tell you something." Email number 3, Halcyon, Elena Kim. "Daniel created an environment where we got more progress in one night than in 6 months of calls. Going forward, we'll continue discussions through him. Please update the contact chain accordingly." The CEO didn't speak. He didn't have to. The silence was the kind of heavy that only money can make. Finally, he said, "You realize this creates complications." "I realize it created results," I said. He exhaled. "Travis claims you poached clients, that you embarrassed the company." I leaned forward. "Then let's measure embarrassment in numbers. Because as of this morning, 3 key accounts are moving their business to the person who actually answered them. That's not poaching. That's gravity." He studied me for a long time, the way people study a chessboard after realizing they've already lost a piece they needed. Then he closed both folders, stacked them neatly, and said, "Go back to your desk. I'll call you this afternoon." That afternoon never came. At 4 p.m., HR pinged me with the usual phrasing. "A brief discussion about recent events." I braced for the corporate guillotine. Instead, I walked in to find legal there too, and the CEO. Travis sat in the corner, pale, quiet, tapping his pen like he was waiting for applause that never arrived. The CEO spoke first. "We've reviewed everything. Your communications, your expenses, your guest list." He looked up. "You didn't violate policy." Travis's pen froze. He used personal funds," the CEO interrupted. "No brand assets, no misrepresentation. And," he opened the folder again, "every client involved has submitted positive feedback in writing. So unless you're suggesting we punish him for successful engagement." Travis's mouth opened, closed. The CEO turned to me. "However, optics are what they are. We can't appear to endorse unsanctioned initiatives." He paused just long enough to let the room tighten. "So here's what we'll do. You'll take over the Halcyon account, effective immediately." Travis's chair scraped the floor. "That's my—" "Was," the CEO said, "effective immediately." No one moved. The air felt electric. I kept my face neutral, professional, but inside I could hear Maya's laugh. Worth it. Then the CEO added, "We'll issue a statement clarifying that the alternate event was an informal follow-up coordinated with full transparency." I nodded slowly. "Appreciate the creative phrasing." He almost smiled. "You've made us look responsive. Try not to do it again." When I left the room, Travis stayed behind. The door shut. 10 minutes later, the HR manager came out with that look people get after watching a quiet car crash. She didn't say anything. She just handed me a new badge lanyard, the kind issued only to account leads. I walked past the open floor, phones ringing, keyboards clacking, people pretending not to notice. Then someone, I think from finance, started a slow clap. 1, 2, 3. It stopped just short of dangerous. That night, I went back to the lounge. Maya was restocking. The chalkboard still read, 2-block truce. I left it there. "Big day?" she asked. "Loud," I said, "but productive." She poured 2 small glasses of bourbon. "To chaos," she said. "To quiet rooms," I said. We clinked. Outside, the rain had stopped. The street smelled like iron and wet pavement. I stood at the window watching the reflections of the hotel lights flicker on the puddles, and I realized something simple but true. You don't need a stage to be seen. You just need a room where people can finally hear you. Behind me, my phone buzzed again, not with threats this time, but opportunities. Competing firms, old contacts, one message from Elena herself. Let's talk tomorrow, not about the past, about what's next. I turned off the phone, finished the drink, and smiled. Tomorrow could wait. Tonight, I already had my answer. By Friday, my inbox looked like an auction. Subject lines stacked like offers. Let's discuss leadership opportunity. Transition plan. Urgent. Lunch? Our treat. The Halcyon folder alone had 30 threads, half of them bypassing my boss entirely. Correction. Former boss. Travis was on leave. The official announcement said strategic reallocation. Everyone knew what it meant. What surprised me wasn't the attention. It was the quiet. The kind of quiet that comes after a storm when everyone's too stunned to speak. People stopped me in the hallway not to congratulate me, but to whisper, "You actually did it." Like I'd robbed a bank with good manners. The CEO sent a 2-line memo to the entire company that morning. Last night's events demonstrated the importance of initiative and authentic client engagement. We support leadership at every level that drives impact. No names, no credit, just initiative and authentic engagement. That was enough. Everyone knew who he meant. At noon, Elna Kim from Halcyon called. Her tone was as sharp as ever, but there was a smile under it. "Do you have 10 minutes?" "For you," I said. "I have 12. She ignored that. "We've decided to move forward with your proposal, the one you sketched on that ridiculous whiteboard with permanent marker." "That was a prototype," I said. "That was progress," she corrected. "We want you leading the implementation phase. Not the company, you." I went still. "You mean—" "Yes. The contract will list your firm, but my team reports through you. You've earned it." I didn't respond right away. I just let the silence stretch until it felt real. Then she said softly, "Don't lose what made that night work, Daniel. Keep it small. Keep it honest. That's where trust lives." Click. For the first time in years, I left the office early. No emails, no status calls, no artificial urgency. I just walked. Past the hotel where the Gala banners were already being taken down. Past the empty valet podium where people had lined up for validation. Past everything that smelled like forced luxury. At the corner, I saw Maya outside the lounge. Chalkboard, blank. "Back again?" she asked, lighting a cigarette. "Can't help it," I said. "This place feels like the start of something." She exhaled smoke and looked at me the way bartenders look at people who are about to make big decisions. "So you staying with them? Or taking the money that's chasing you?" I told her the truth. Neither feels right. That night, I sat inside alone. The room was smaller than I remembered, or maybe I'd just outgrown the parts that needed permission. I pulled a napkin from the stack, the same ones that still said "not a gala," and wrote 3 lines in pen. "Find the people who listen. Build for them." The next week moved fast. Legal drafted new NDAs. HR tried to polish my title into something corporate. Director of Strategic Engagement. It sounded like a suit that didn't fit. So I made a choice. Monday morning, I walked into the CEO's office with a single-page letter. "Another stunt?" he asked. "A resignation," I said. He looked up, wary. "You just got promoted." "I just got clarity," I said. He waited. "You're going to Halcyon?" "No," I said. "I'm going with them." He frowned. "You mean—" I'm forming my own group. Small, focused, real rooms, real work. The clients already said yes." He didn't speak for a moment. Then he smiled. Slow, reluctant, impressed. "You really don't like velvet ropes, do you?" "Not unless I'm the one deciding who gets in," I said. I shook his hand and left before he could decide whether that was arrogance or principle. Maybe both. 2 weeks later, I stood in a new office, if you could call it that. A converted warehouse with exposed brick and 4 desks. On the wall, the whiteboard from that night, still stained faintly with dry erase ghosts. Maya was on the couch with coffee. Sarah from Ascendant had joined as partner number 1. John from Marrow sent a check instead of flowers. Halcyon's kickoff call was scheduled for Monday. Outside, it rained again. Same kind of steady drizzle as that first night. like the city was trying to remind me how all of this started. I opened the window anyway. The air smelled clean. Honest. Sarah looked up from her laptop. "What's the name?" she asked. I smiled. "No name, just the work," she nodded. "And if clients ask what to call us?" I thought for a second, then said, "Tell them it's the other event." Because that's what it had always been. Not rebellion, not revenge, just the other room. The one where people talk like people, where results come faster than applause, where invitations don't matter because the door's already open. As the rain hit the window, I sat back in my chair, opened a fresh notebook, and wrote at the top of the first page. Uninvited was just the beginning.